a pretty casual episode, nothing strictly on topic. We'll touch on a few things, but we're pretty much just getting geared up for Rock-tober, isn't that right?
Mm-hmm. It is right. It's so casual, in fact, that we're in our pajamas. We're not in our normal fancy suit and power blouses that Maddy likes to make us wear.
Yeah, exactly. We're not at the professional studio. We're at our casual studio, the extra property we have with all the money that this podcast brings in. You know,
yes,
it's worth that investment to have two separate studios.
It is. It is. I mean, considering like we live so far away from each other, having two studios only makes sense. It's that one in that is like in the middle of us that we never use.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Like that one's maybe we're wasting money, but I don't know.
Yeah, you know, it's good to have a backup.
Yeah, I agree.
Just now, I made you watch a wonderful series of short films on YouTube. Would you like to describe them?
Yeah, you just made me watch. So the first one, the one that started it all, is called The Horribly Slow Murder with the Extremely Inefficient Weapon by Richard Gale. It's about a man who is being attacked by an otherworldly spirit demon man with a spoon. So he is just relentlessly, vigorously tapped with a spoon, which is actually painful. I've been hit, like I said when we were watching them, I have been hit right in the middle of the forehead with a spoon, and it does hurt. Now, I can't remember why. I don't actually have a good story for this. But I have been hit directly in the center of my forehead with a spoon.
It's a blunt metal object, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and after a while it would kill you. And this sort of follows the dude's descent into madness, trying to kill at first he's trying to investigate who's doing this and why, and then he tries to become the Ginosaji, I think. Ginosaji?
That is what the spoon demon is called.
He tries to become it, and that doesn't work, and all sorts of things happen on this adventure. None of it good for poor Jack, our protagonist.
Not at all. And apparently they're going to do a feature film, but they've been doing a Kickstarter for a few years now. Mm-hmm.
But if you want to find it, it's Richard Gale Films on YouTube is who you would check out. Mm-hmm. And it's worth it. It's ridiculous and hilarious. And so a while back, we were going to have another dude who makes trailers on Mikey somebody or other. I don't even want to. He blew us off, so I don't even care to give his YouTube any traffic.
Yeah.
But I the whole time we were watching this, I was thinking about the stark difference between this guy's trailers work. Yeah, this guy's work as opposed to Mikey's. This guy, you can actually see, like, he's having fun. You know what I mean? He's doing this because he loves it. And I always felt like, and I watched a lot of that other guy's stuff, and to me, it felt like he was doing it because it was like a cool thing to do. You know what I mean? Like, it was more for like cool points rather than just for fun. Mm-hmm. And, the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, wow, this is what that dude was trying to pull off, only like, well, this is real, and this is fun, and this is, you know.
They know what makes a scary movie, and they play it off pretty well, and like, for most of it, you're like, okay, this is hilarious, but it's also, once you get into it, it's actually pretty upsetting to watch what happens to this character.
Oh, God, yeah, it gets so brutal. Like, you don't really realize how spending years getting vigorously tapped with a spoon would really just actually start to be terrible. Like, the dude's got bruises all over him at one point, like, and that you'd be sore all the time.
Mm-hmm. At no rest, like, you couldn't sleep through that at all. There's no situation unless you're in a coma in which you could sleep through that.
Yeah, you'd be in constant fear of this guy being around every corner.
And no one believes him because no one else can see him either.
Mm-hmm. I didn't get that at first either. It wasn't until we watched the one with the old lady trying to put the dog, it was actually him trying to put him out of his misery, that I realized that, like, other people couldn't see this thing.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. I just spilled something. Okay, I moved everything out of the way. So if you haven't watched Ginosaji, the horribly slow murder with the extremely inefficient weapon, I would definitely recommend starting your Halloween season off with that this year.
Yeah, for sure. I've got a couple things I didn't make you watch that I would like to talk about too. If you don't,
are you saying I made you watch this?
Well, no, I don't mean it like that. So I was perusing Reddit for ideas to steal, as I do.
Of course. All great artists steal, right?
It's true. I don't really steal from Reddit. And yeah, somebody had posted and this is actually my most upvoted Reddit comment. It's only like 500 and something, whatever, but Reddit clout. You've got more, but that's okay.
Well, we can't all be geniuses.
It's true. We can't all be Maddies. Some of us have to be Corys in this world. So I stumbled upon a post from You Sad Ghost. Anyone want to watch a zombie movie filmed in my yard, house, and garage using an only $300 something budget? The title's a little... Yeah. It was written by the dude's uncle, who was also in it. I think he played Dave, which doesn't matter because you haven't seen it. So it's a pretty standard micro-budget zombie fare. Dude's watching Night of the Living Dead because it's the only movie you don't have to pay royalties on if you have it in your movie. So basically what happens... Romero's
company screwed him over.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But I think he made that money back eventually.
I think so, yeah. I think it's safe to say that.
I had at first thought it was going to be a comedy. The whole thing is narrated. It's the main character, whose name I forget, narrates. And it's like 45 minutes long.
I hate narration.
Sometimes I don't. Like I like it in noir stuff. I actually like the Blade Runner narration a lot. But
yeah, it's just it has to be a phenomenal movie to pull off narration, and it can't be like just entirely narration.
Yeah, I'm not sure you would have liked this then, because not only narration, but zombies.
Not crazy about zombies. Some zombie things are okay. I really love Return of the Living Dead and Night of the Living Dead, but...
Yeah, this was, so I originally thought it was supposed to be a comedy, because it opens up with the dudes watching Night of the Living Dead and not noticing... Like he's narrating this and he's talking about how he should have checked his phone and all this stuff because people were like telling him what was going on. So I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be funny, and it had sort of a Clerks kind of Kevin Smith feel to it.
Okay.
So it wasn't. It was pretty deadpan serious. Zombies take over kind of thing. It's like I said, it's a micro budget. It's just some horror fans making a movie. So it wasn't the best thing I've ever seen in my life, but I had fun. I enjoyed it, and it's
good to support independent artists because even if maybe the first thing isn't amazing, second thing or anything after that might be incredible, but you never know until you give them the opportunity to shine, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And it's discouraging for somebody to put this much work into something and have people not watching it. So I figured, he's pushing 6,000 views. He's got like 5,700 right now as we're recording this. Yeah, which isn't bad. So I figured I'd mention his movie and his YouTube page just to give him a shout out because I did enjoy it. I will warn you, if I need to complain about one thing, it's the sound. Generally you can hear everything, but there's some weird sound mistakes in there. Like at one point, one of the characters is having his gore ripped out, which low budget gore again is one of my favorite things ever. And there's some good stuff in here. So one of the characters is getting his guts pulled out and he's screaming over the narration. And the narration was obviously I thought it was obviously like filmed after the fact and then overdubbed into it, because that's how narration is normally done. I'm not sure if maybe he recorded his narration while the screaming was happening or what was going on, or if it was just a bad mix, because sometimes as a sound guy, myself, sometimes it can be hard. And it happened when I was recording our theme. It sounded great on my upper mid-range speakers and my headphones, but then when you got it, you couldn't hear any of the vocals. And I'm still not happy with the vocals on that. I need to go back and revisit that at some point. So sometimes it sounds good on your gear, but it may not sound good on other people's gear. And maybe that's what happened here. But I do think that you guys should all check it out. The film is called They Rose, and the YouTube channel is AH Theater. The movie's got 5,700 views, but they've only got 83 subscribers. And to be fair, there's not a whole lot on their YouTube. There's an interview with Tom Savini some other stuff, and there's a link to their website, which I guess they do a comedy thing in episodes. I haven't watched it. It looked I sort of clicked through one, and it looked like sort of a sketch comedy thing, and that's ah-theater.com. So it looks like theater.com.
So, do you ever watch fan films?
Yeah, every now and again.
Yeah, I'm a little iffy on the subject, but I'm going to give it credit, there are a few out there that are actually pretty darn good. Have you ever watched Never Hike Alone?
Yeah, I actually almost watched that again today because it's still in my watch later list from when it was first released.
That has got to be by Womp Stomp Films on YouTube. That's got to be one of the best fan films I've ever seen.
Dude, Tommy's in it.
Yes, the actual actor who plays Tommy in it, and it's the best goodbye sequence to him. No, it's not the original Tommy. It was Corey. But it's not Corey. It's the final Tommy. The final Tommy. The part 6 Tommy. Yeah. I remember hearing something about them trying to do another one of those. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I'm just clicking through real quick to see if there's any info on the... No, it doesn't say anything on their YouTube. It's found footage style, for one thing. It's about a guy who goes out into the woods to hike alone around Crystal Lake. Am I correct? Yeah, which you should never do, according to
exactly. And he ends up getting stalked by Jason, who this movie pulls no stops. Jason is a supernatural force. Mm-hmm. You can't stop him. He can disappear and appear anywhere he wants.
Yeah, and it's easily one of the best fan films I've ever seen. It's up there with there was a few years ago some guy doing a bunch of Batman fan films that were actually really well done. This is up there with those and some of the best. The Lobo versus Santa Claus fan film, too. It's up there. Like, if you guys have seen any of that, you should, number one. Number two, it's right up there, if not even better than those.
Mm-hmm. There's also a really good Gremlins fan film, but for the life of me, I cannot remember what it's called. But
oh, dude, I didn't know that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's actually pretty fantastic. The concept is that pretty much everyone knows about gremlins now, and mogwai are reproduced and marketed and sold as pets, but they're tortured to be domesticated to act more like Gizmo. And actually, I think it is... Okay, I found the Gremlins film I'm talking about. It's actually only about 10 and a half minutes, almost 11, and it's called Gremlins Recall. It is wonderful, and the best thing about it is that the puppetry, or animatronics, is spot on. They look like gremlins. And of course, wouldn't you know it, these domesticated, tortured mogwai get some food after midnight, and crazy things happen. But it's perfect. Course. And
nice. I have it in my... as soon as the podcast's done, I'm going to watch that, and I'm going to watch Never Hike Alone again.
Yeah. People, they've talked about for years about doing a Gremlins 3, but they could never, I think, figure out a good angle, especially after how crazy Part 2 was. But I think this fan film actually did figure something out, and if they could expand on the concept, it could be a pretty good Part 3.
I feel like now is the time for a Gremlins...
reboot or sequel?
Or sequel, whatever, because we're reliving the mid to late 80s, early to mid 90s right now, aesthetic-wise. We have been for a while. Music, all that stuff. And I think it would be a perfect time to bring the Gremlins back as long as it was animatronic, not CGI, as long as they brought the puppets back with it.
I would really, really love if they brought Zach Galligan back for it.
Who's he?
He played Billy. He was the main character.
Oh, that's the guy. Okay, yeah.
Do you know who voiced Gizmo?
No.
Howie Mandel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It'd be funny if it was Vin Diesel. So yeah, that Gremlins had one of the most jarring moments ever. Talking about going back to this the Ginosaji thing we just watched. Gremlins sort of pulled a similar thing where it's a comedy all the way through it until all of a sudden you've got what's the girl's name?
Kate.
Yeah, well, you have whatever. Yeah, Kate, the main female lead. She has this monologue about her dad dying on Christmas Day. What does he get stuck in the chimney or something?
Yeah, it's the old urban legend about the guy dressed as Santa getting stuck in the chimney. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just crazy because, like, this movie's this insane, like, violent comedy, and then all of a sudden, my dad died in this horrible way, and that's why I hate Christmas. It's crazy.
What I love about the sequel is that she gets that moment again, and she starts talking about President's Day and gets really dramatic, and everyone kind of ignores her and walks away before you can hear that story.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I need to watch those two again.
Yeah. But no, well, there's not just that. There's the mean old lady who ends up getting killed by the gremlins. There's the gruesome scene where the mom kills the gremlins in the kitchen and has to put one in the blender and one in the microwave. There are actually some pretty disturbing sequences of gremlins.
Oh, what's the song? Do you hear what I hear?
Yeah.
That song, that was a broken song for me for a long time. That terrified me when I was a kid. Yeah. Like, anytime I hear that song, I'd think of all that.
I think what we should do is we should reach out to the fans, well, not us, obviously Hollywood, should reach out to the fans who are doing these incredible fan films right now and actually give them the chance to make the movies, to make the sequels that Hollywood is looking for, to do something new with the remakes, because these are people who actually have passion for the storylines, who could do something good that people actually might want to pay to see in movie theaters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And now, again, it's the perfect time for that. I've been looking into vlogging about my various jobs and stuff like that. So I've been reading a lot about, like, gear. And I've got a decent camera already. I've got, like, a fancy drone, all this stuff. And I've been looking at how to use that stuff for video. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing that we've got, like, for under $1,000, you can fake your way through a very, very professional looking setup. Like, I mean, $1,000 is still a lot of money to most people. It certainly is to me.
It's
but you can
less than like $20,000, $50,000, $70,000. Like, the budget of a low budget film in the 1970s is very different from a super low budget film of today.
Yeah, the fact that you can get enough gear to make a decent looking film for under $1,000 is insane. Mm-hmm. Absolutely insane. Like, stuff that would have costed you thousands and thousands of dollars 10 years ago is so inexpensive now. I mean, it still requires a decent amount of, like, understanding of software and talent first and foremost, because you can't, like, you can give somebody with no talent at all the most expensive gear in the world, and they're obviously going to come up with nothing anybody wants to watch. Or on the other side of that, you can give the most talented person you know a GoPro, and they can come up with some kind of insane masterpiece. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not crazy about even found footage concepts, but I mean, Hell House LLC is pretty good.
Mm-hmm. The third, I guess, just released. I haven't watched the second.
Yeah. And I can appreciate, even though I don't like it, I can appreciate what Blair Witch Project did for horror, you know?
Mm-hmm. True. I mean, even like, a lot of people were taking the whole found footage thing and running with it because it was the inexpensive way to film stuff, because you could have it, like, if it's looking cheaply done, it can be cheaply done in a lot of ways. But you don't even have to do that anymore. The new GoPros have, like, the GoPro Hero 7 Black has internal stabilization. And like, I've been watching all these, like, I know this isn't a tech channel, but bear with me. I've been watching all of these crazy YouTube videos filmed on GoPros. They don't, like, you can get rid of, they have a mode called linear now where you can get rid of that whole fisheye look, so you can actually get a cinematic look out of this little, like, 3-inch by 3-inch box.
Well, I mean, expanding on that, like, you can take phenomenal pictures with your phone now that would have taken some pretty serious gear about 10 or 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's another thing, too. Most phones have, I mean, to a lesser extent, but decent internal stabilization as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we live in the future. It's super cool.
Yeah, I'm really optimistic about where movies are going. I just think we need to dial back on drawing out lawsuits for people making short films that are inspired by famous franchises, because they're not really taking anything away from it.
No, not at all. Yeah, that's really unfortunate that sort of... YouTube messed up a lot of stuff like that. Not that I'm blaming YouTube for that specifically. That's obviously
I mean, they're getting the videos out there, so they have every right to pull stuff down, I guess, and warn people if it's on their own servers. But
they do, but it's just unfortunate because like the days of YouTube's Wild West are long since over. Like you can't, like it's not a viable way to make money anymore unless you're family friendly. And like our podcast right now, I'm pretty sure we would get demonetized if we were actually a YouTube channel. And we don't even swear that much.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
We just use a lot of clip samples.
Yeah, but I mean, even if we got rid of that, I'm pretty sure there's stuff like some of my stories that would get us demonetized. You know, things like that.
Yeah. You know, I think every field of art has to explore and find their comfortable position, but unfortunately business does take over and business rules over art, and podcasting is about to pretty much get into that territory. Not that that has anything to do with horror.
Well, it kind of does, because it's the last podcast on the left guy's faults for making podcasts so popular.
Yeah, it's their fault, of course. No one else was involved in doing that.
Well, I mean, it's them. It's my
Joe
brother,
Rogan.
Me, Joe. Yeah, Joe Rogan. Where did my Sharpie go? There it is.
Everyone talks about Joe Rogan.
This show's good.
It's good, but I mean,
I like him. We're also not a podcast review show.
We're probably going to cut this conversation out.
No, you could. You can leave it. Why not? I mean, this is supposed to be sort of our light, like, conversational, so I don't care if you leave it in. The moon landing was fake, Joe Rogan, I probably wouldn't have liked. But I got into him after he was educated on that subject and realized he was wrong. And there's not a lot of people who would change such a ridiculous, intense view. Like, people who don't believe the moon landing happened don't believe the moon landing happened. There's nothing you can do to change that. But he actually sat down and, like, allowed himself to be convinced otherwise. You know, he actually pays attention to the...
I don't think his show is bad. It's just not my personal preferred subject matter, and I'm not crazy about just shows devoted to interviewing people.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I don't watch, like, I only watch his stuff. Same with Phil DeFranco's podcast. I don't watch that stuff unless I'm interested in the person they're interviewing.
Yeah. Plus, you know, there's a certain person I think who got a lot of interviews with him who I'm not a big fan of.
Who's that?
Alex Jones.
Oh, yeah. I'm not a big fan of Alex Jones either. I think that's probably because we're mostly sane people.
Go ahead. I didn't really have anything important to say. What were you saying?
I have one more movie to tell you if you would like to hear about it.
All right.
So this, in that same thread, I was talking about mentioning They Rose on the show, and this other guy popped up. He's since deleted his comment, which is unfortunate. I'm not sure why, because I wanted to tell him that I'm doing this. So I'm going to have to search for him. Maybe I'll just post on Reddit and hope for the best. Actually, I'll just put a comment under the movie.
Okay.
On YouTube. So yeah, this guy chimed in. He's like, hey, would you mind giving my movie a look too? I'm like, yeah, sure. After making it very clear that we don't have a whole lot of listeners, but I would love to talk about your movie, you know. Mm-hmm. So this one is called Don't Look.
Okay.
It's released on August. Both of these, They Rose and Don't Look, were released very, very recently, like end of August, beginning of September. Mm-hmm. Don't Look is about a dude who's sleeping in his car, and it's sort of a neat little brief sub-story, and it's only told by like one brief sentence and the fact that he's sleeping in his car. But dude's sleeping in his car because his girlfriend kicked him out, and the only reason you know that is because there's this real quick line he says, like, did so-and-so sent you, to this guy who's talking to him through the window of his car. The dude throws a notebook into his car, and it says, don't look, he keeps open, and there's more and more pages telling him not to look, but of course he's looking.
Yeah.
It's this 10-minute sort of, like, creepy chase movie, I guess, with this faceless supernatural being. I don't know, but it's really good. It's really well shot. I can't tell if they used After Effects or if it was, and again, this is just me geeking out about the stuff I've been learning about lenses lately. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if it was like a choice in aperture and lenses and focus and all that stuff that I don't fully understand yet, or if they did this on purpose. But there's this sort of grain. It's black and white, and there's sort of this grain over everything. But the grain makes the sky look like snow on an old TV that's tuned to a dead channel.
Interesting.
Which is almost a William Gibson quote, but that's neither here nor there.
I like that concept.
Mm-hmm. It's really neat, and it actually adds to the sort of otherworldliness of what the main characters experience. And I think the main character is the one who wrote and possibly directed the movie as well. Yeah, he wrote, directed, and starred in it, and edited as well. His name is Abner Leopold Hofstadler.
Now that is an artistic name.
Well, he's British. So yeah, like I said, the film is called Don't Look, and the why did I almost say eBay site? The YouTube site is Gothic Art House. They only have 511 subscribers. Their movie with the most views has 3,000 views. It's a movie called Moloch, which was really good. There's a sequel called Moloch 2. And there's a bunch of other stuff. There's one here called Red Room. There's one called Missing. Red Room got 2.8K. Missing got 1.4. They're not big, but the quality in the work, and this is a good example of talent plus decent gear, is giving us this stuff. And I think eventually this page will probably take off. But until then, I'm really glad that Reddit exists and allowed me to find them, because I really did enjoy Don't Look, and I'm going to watch the other stuff. I've already watched Moloch. I liked it. There's a real sort of like spaciness to his work. That's not a good way to put it. Sort of
surreal.
Yeah, the word art house in his Gothic Art House YouTube title is very, very true. They are pretty artsy, but they're not like overdone, pretentious artsy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely recommend this guy's YouTube. You should really check it out. You should definitely watch Don't Look.
I plan to.
Would, because I would quit the podcast if you didn't. I'd move to England and join Gothic Art House.
Okay, well, Corey, weren't you going to do that anyway?
Yeah, I just didn't know how to tell you.
Yeah, you can actually find a lot of really cool stuff on YouTube as far as like independent horror and film producers go. Have you ever watched any of the Slash Street Boys from the Merkins?
Is that thing that the Horror Party channel used to randomly play with like Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, and Michael Myers like sitting around a table and talking?
No. The Merkins, they do music videos, mostly.
Oh.
But
I feel like I have...
Friends was something I played, yes.
Oh, I didn't like that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, make it so you don't have to apologize.
It was a different artist who did that one. But yeah, the Merkins do a bunch of silly videos with the Slash Street Boys, which is Ghostface, which you rarely see in the group. Mm-hmm. He's annoying. Leatherface, Freddy, Jason, and of course... Michael. And each of them has a style. I'm sorry, what?
I think you showed me one of these back in the day.
Yeah, they're pretty funny. I think probably Leatherface is funny, probably the funniest because of his I've Got Friends with No Faces song, and he does a very intense country thing to it.
Nice.
Michael has more of a poppy music theme. Freddy's a rapper.
Of course he is.
So is Jason. Ghostface, I don't really get what his thing is, but they all do parodies of horror films, and it's pretty funny.
I'll check that out too.
Yeah, and Low Carb Comedy has some pretty funny stuff too. He did a sort of they did a slasher parody of teen romantic comedies with Jason Voorhees as a teenager and his best friend Wingman being Freddy Krueger.
I just want to make sure I have this stuff called up.
Real quick. Actually, I want to watch that with you real quick.
So yeah, that's about all I've got.
Yeah, me too. It's a pretty short, kind of laid-back episode tonight because we were just hanging out and chatting because I might have misplanned a few things.
Which is fine. It's what we do.
Our first Rock-tober episode is hopefully going to feature a guest. I won't name him now just in case something happens, but...
like last time.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about our first 2 heavy metal horror movies, which is our...
Oh, you want me to say it? Wild Zero, which is Guitar Wolf, the Japanese Ramones, I guess is the best way to explain them. It's their zombie sci-fi movie. It's absolutely one of my favorites. It's great. Maddie's gonna hate it. No, I think Maddie will like it too. And Rock and Roll Nightmare, which I'm sure will be great, and I'm very excited to watch it in preparation for the show coming up next week. Yay, Rock and Roll Nightmare.
Yeah, it's weird that you had a sort of tone right there as if the Podpedia guy was holding you hostage or something.
Well, he's always here, just waiting.
In the dark, in the night.
With a spoon. Speaking of which, who usually starts that? I don't even remember.
Oh, I started, yeah.
Right.
If you want to check out our blog, you can find us. What, everything okay?
Yep, we're good now.
We're spilling stuff all over.
I know, it's a mess.
If you want to check our blog out, you can find us at hallow-holic.blogspot.com or hallow-holic.wordpress.com. October is the October blogathon, so I'll have at least one entry every day for October.
Yay! You can also, if you feel like it, venture into the Twitterverse and find us at Nowhere23 or by searching Hallow-Holics.
You can also email us at hallow-holics@outlook.com.
You can, there's a man threatening me with a spoon. He wants me to tell you to go to Podpedia and search our portal, HHA. This is a really lazy one tonight. I'm sorry, but I'm in pain. Good night. Thank you for listening.
Good night.